So you've decided to build a new construction home in Austin, Texas, and you're standing in the design center and you are overwhelmed at all the selections. And suddenly your budget keeps going higher and higher and higher as you're picking out all the things you want, and you start worrying that you can't actually afford this home. In this video, I'm going to help you stay within reality, stay within your budget, and show you where you should spend your money on a new construction home in Austin so that it's still something you love, but it's going to help you with tremendous resale value in the future. If we haven't met yet, I'm Shannon Manjan. I run a real estate team with my husband, Austin. We focus on the Texas Hill Country on the west side, usually in Lake Travis and Dripping Springs, but we will cover some other towns as well. We have helped so many people build new construction homes, including ourselves, and I absolutely love the process, but it can be overwhelming and it's so tempting to break the bank in this process. So let's start with the three main areas where you're going to spend some money. That is the lot premium, the floor plan itself and structural upgrades, and then the fun part, all those cosmetic designs. So let's talk about the lot selection first. In my opinion, choosing the right lot is the most important thing you can do. And I feel like so many buyers overlook it. I'm guilty of that myself. My very first home that I got, I was so focused on getting a cute house. I didn't care about anything in the backyard. And after I lived in my home a few years, I did regret that I didn't pick a different lot. So some things to consider. In Austin, it is so hot in the summertime. So I had a west-facing backyard and I was like, sunset, that sounds pretty. I'll see sunsets outside. Not when it's 105 degrees in the summer. It basically means you're being baked outside during the summer months and you can't even enjoy your backyard. So something that's important to me is the orientation and knowing that I'm not going to get that full-on sun, or else I would have had a much bigger covered patio so that I could have had some shade in my backyard. The other thing to keep in mind is what's going to be built behind you. Will you have a giant 2-story home that looks like someone's staring in at you with no privacy? Are you going to see power lines? Will it back to a commercial space? You don't know what's going to be built behind you, so make sure you are aware of that and it's something you see yourself living in. The better the lot, the better your chance of reselling that home in the future. They always say location, location, location is the main important thing in real estate, and that is so true when you pick your lot. You can never change that in the future. Your countertops, the floors, all that stuff can be changed, but you can't pick up your house and move it. Now, the second thing is going to be structural upgrades. So when you pick the floor plan that you want to put on that lot, a lot of times there's choices that you can maybe add on a room or add a third car garage bay. I always say make those changes because it will cost you a fortune to do that later. And in some cases, it might be impossible to do that later. So if you want that third bathroom, a third car garage, a media room for your kids, make those structural changes because it will cost you way more in the future to try to add and change the structure of the house. Now, finally, let's talk about the fun stuff, the design center. I love going to the design centers and seeing all the trends and the latest selections that are out there for buyers to choose. But it can be overwhelming. So a big tip is to tell the design center specialist, there's usually an interior designer who will work with you at your appointment, tell them what your max budget is. A good rule of thumb is to spend about 5 to 10% in the design center based on what your overall floor plan cost is. So let's say your floor plan with structural upgrades is $700,000. You could reasonably spend about $770,000 and get a gorgeous decked out house. If you can keep it under budget, that's even better. And a lot of times the builders will give you incentives at the design center. So that's been the case in almost all of my clients' experiences. They might say, we'll give you 50% off all your design center selections, or we'll give you up to $40,000 to go shopping at the design center. That means you can splurge a little bit on the places where it counts the most. So where should you spend your money at the design center? Here's my big 3 areas. Number 1 is the kitchen. People fall in love with kitchens. They can be the reason a house sells or the reason people don't buy that home. So if you want to splurge and get the nicer quartz counters, the better quality cabinets, the beautiful backsplash, all of that can go a long way. Definitely be careful picking out trendy designs. I remember for a while it was popular to have these crazy geometric pattern tiles that were like bold colors. And it was a trend that kind of came and went for a couple of years. And to me, it's overwhelming and it can make the house like a little dated if you go in and you see these wild colored patterns all over the backsplash. That was a fad that kind of came and went. So just be mindful of it. Even if you think you like something, just think about it. Will I like looking at it in 5 years, in 10 years, or will I be kind of tired of it? Same thing with kind of crazy colored kitchen cabinets. I've seen some where it's like bright blue and bright green or yellow or whatever. You might think, oh, that looks so pretty. Will you grow tired of that? Ultimately, this is your home. You can deck it out however you want, but just staying more with like classic neutral colors and accessorizing with some fun pops of color can also make your home a little bit safer and hold up its resale value. The other big room would be your primary bathroom. That's your owner's retreat. It's where you want to unwind at the end of the day. So if you want to deck out and get the nicer tile in your shower or the nicer counters again, go ahead and do that. You can save money in the guest rooms. Those are less of an issue to upgrade, so kind of stick with some of the basic features from the builder, and you don't have to worry about decking out all of the guest rooms. The last room would be your main living area. Here, I think it's super important. Pick out flooring that you love throughout your home. That's going to be a big expense. Also, in a few years, if you decide you wanted to extend the flooring into your main bedroom or into an office space, you don't know if that flooring is even going to be around, or maybe the designer discontinued it. It may have a different dye lot, so it's going to be really hard to match it later on. So that's why I also feel like just get the flooring wherever you want it and just put it the way you want it so you're not having to deal with that project and trying to piecemeal it together later on. Now, here are some things you should never spend your money on. This would be lighting upgrades, cabinet hardware. There's a lot of little things that can cost a ton of money from the builder, way more than what you could pay someone easily to do it afterwards. Lighting is probably a big one. Builders are not typically custom lighting supply stores. They have very limited selection. Their lighting costs are going to be outrageous. So what we did on our new construction home, the one we live in now, is we went to a lighting company that we love in Southeast Austin called Tri-Supply, and we went out and picked out some gorgeous lights, and then we had an electrician come over and install them. Made our house look like a completely different home. It actually elevated it to me where it looks more custom and designer just by changing out those light fixtures. And that was something we would have never done with the builder, and if we had tried, it would have cost us way more. Same thing can go with landscaping. A lot of times the builders are not landscaping companies. If you want an extra tree or whatever, they're going to cost a lot more than if you just hire a landscaper and do that afterwards. Accent walls, custom paint colors. These are not things you want to splurge on with the builder. They're easy things you can do later on. So to sum everything up, a few reminders. When you're at a design center, spend all the things that you cannot change later on. That would be your lot, the structure of the house itself, and the big cosmetic expenses like flooring and cabinets. Those are things that are going to cost you a fortune later. Splurge in the areas that matter, like the kitchen, the main living area, and your main bedroom and bath, and don't worry about the other rooms of the home. As always, work with a real estate agent that is super familiar with building new construction homes and have a set budget in mind that the designer is aware of as well. As a team working together, we will help you get the best looking house possible without breaking the bank. Now, if you want more information about the builders that we recommend and some of our favorite neighborhoods in the Hill Country, drop a comment below or connect with me using my contact information in the description. And make sure you subscribe to this channel for some of the best neighborhood tours.